All right, you're live.
All right. Hello, everybody. We're going to be starting in about 1 minute, and I'm going to just get a few more things ready, and then we will begin.
Shell and Letitia say hi.
Hi, Shell and Letitia. Welcome to the program. I'm excited that you're all here. And let's begin. So, hey, everybody. My name is Bill Bradley. I'm a registered dietitian and the owner of Mediterranean Living. And we have lots of programs to help people learn how to eat the Mediterranean diet and also learn how to live the Mediterranean lifestyle. And we also have a book, Foods of Crete, Traditional Recipes from the Healthiest People in the World. And we're going to give this book away about halfway through the program. And today's program is called Clean Eating for Beginners. And really, it's clean Mediterranean eating for beginners. And this is actually a good time to have this program because we are about to launch our first Mediterranean 30 clean eating program on Monday. And it's a program I'll talk a little bit about more at the end of the program, but it's a 30-day program to help you learn how to, and not only learn, but actually participate in your own health and learn about clean eating and how to do it. And so we're going to give that program away at the end, and we're going to give the book away, like I said, in a few minutes. So I'm going to make a couple of dishes today and talk about what clean eating actually is with the Mediterranean diet. And clean eating, the basics of clean eating is just what it sounds like. It's eating food that it doesn't have a lot of, not a lot of processed foods, not a lot of sugar, foods that don't have a lot of pesticides or chemicals, preservatives, things like that. And so it's eating as clean to the earth as you can and really eating whole, unprocessed foods. And which is pretty much what the Mediterranean diet is. It's a diet that is mostly unprocessed, especially it stays away from ultra processed foods. And ultra processed foods are foods that are really, really processed so that the basic whole foods are not even there anymore. And it's more like sugary, high carbs, again, lots of preservatives and chemicals. And so that's what we're trying to get away from when you're clean eating. And I like to try to eat as much as possible clean, as much as possible the Mediterranean diet. I've told a lot of you before, but I've lost 50 pounds eating the Mediterranean diet. It's a great way to lose weight. It's also great for almost every type of disease, from heart disease to cancer to diabetes to obesity, just really everything. I've been studying the Mediterranean diet for about 15 years, and I went to the Mediterranean to learn about the diet itself. And some of the key elements of the diet are surprising to a lot of people in America. A lot of what you see when you see the Mediterranean diet here is not the true, authentic Mediterranean diet. So we'll talk about that, and we'll talk about more about clean eating. But the two recipes I'm going to make in a skillet. I'm going to turn the skillet on. I'm going to turn the skillet around. And while I'm doing this, while I'm turning the skillet on, if you could just let me know where you're from and where you're from in the world, and just put it in the chat. Also, if you have any questions as we go, you can put that in the chat as well. And we will answer all of your questions. So the Mediterranean diet and a lot of clean eating recipes start with very basic ingredients. And the two recipes that we're going to make are super basic, but really, really delicious. And this is part of what I think makes the Mediterranean diet so delicious is it uses fresh foods, really good olive oil, fruits and vegetables, and like fresh herbs, but with simple recipes. So like what we're going to make today is a very simple recipe. The first one is garlic mushrooms. And we're going to start this recipe off with 8 cloves of garlic. And this is a recipe that you can get on our site, and we'll also share that right now on the YouTube channel. And so in the chat box. So we're going to start by simply chopping some garlic, and we're going to put it in about a 1/4 cup of extra virgin olive oil. One of the things that is really great about the Mediterranean diet is that it's so tasty. And one of the real reasons for that is that it's a high-fat diet, but it's healthy fats. And so it's using extra virgin olive oil as its main fat, which is a very, very healthy fat. And when we're talking about a clean diet, what you want to try to get is a really good olive oil. Olive oil, a lot of it you may have heard can be fraudulent. And when it's fraudulent, it's definitely not in the realm of clean. I am just going to chop up some mushrooms here as we're talking. It's best if you can, if you're getting olive oil, to try to get olive oil that comes from a source that you trust. We have olive oil that we sell on our site that comes from southern Greece. It's an award-winning single estate olive oil. And if you get olive oil in the store, it often can be, I would call it not clean. There's different ways that olive oil can be fraudulent. One of the most interesting ones is that you can actually have olive oil that's not olive oil at all. And I'm going to put this in with the garlic, the mushrooms. There's I don't know if you've seen, there's a 60 Minutes report on this, but there is some olive oil where they were taking vegetable oil and they were adding chlorophyll to make it green and beta carotene to give it the flavor of olive oil. Because olive oil is actually a fruit oil and vegetable oil comes from vegetables, so it tastes very different. But that's not, vegetable oil is not something that you want to have a lot of.
Jill has a question. She's wondering, is there a difference between extra virgin and not virgin olive oil? And which would you take?
That is a very good question. Is there a difference between extra virgin and regular olive oil, non-virgin olive oil? And there's a big difference. So with extra virgin olive oil, that's the first pressing of the oil. The first pressing means it still has a lot of the sediment in it, and it has a lot of the polyphenols and things that are the huge anti-inflammatories in olive oil that are so important. And you want to make sure that as much as possible you use extra virgin olive oil for everything. A lot of people think that you should use extra virgin just for like salad dressings and things that are going to be raw. But you actually, if possible, want to try to use extra virgin olive oil for everything, including cooking. And if you think of extra virgin olive oil as it's basically unfiltered, whereas regular olive oil is filtered. So it's similar to, extra virgin olive oil would be like apple cider. Extra virgin would be like apple cider, and regular olive oil is more like apple juice. So it doesn't have all the thick, really good stuff for you in it anymore. And so it is really important, I'm going to add a little more olive oil to this, that you try to use extra virgin olive oil and that you get it from a really good source. I'm going to turn this on just a little bit more. And also, if you've been in my classes before, you know how important it is that when you get extra virgin olive oil, you want to make sure that, if possible, that it has a burn to it. And a burn means that you take a sip of it, and within 10 seconds, you get a burn in your throat. It's like a peppery burn. And that burn is a measure of the freshness, but it also, the chemical that causes that burn is the same chemical that's in ibuprofen. So it's a very strong anti-inflammatory. So it's super, super good for you, and why you want to try to get extra virgin olive oil as fresh as you can. Now, our olive oil is really, really great. And within a few weeks, we'll be getting a new shipment that will be the newest harvest. And that's when you want to try to buy your olive oil. I mean, you buy it all year long, but this is like the best time to buy olive oil. So these are almost done. As far as the mushrooms are almost done. And we're going to add just a few flakes of red pepper. You can also use a dried pepper if you want to. And then we're going to add some lemon juice. Actually, first we're going to add some chopped parsley. Quite a bit of chopped parsley. About a bunch. So it'll probably be about a cup or two of chopped parsley. Okay. It smells really good in here right now. And once we add the herbs, it's going to smell even nicer. I'm going to cook that just for about 30 seconds. And then we're going to add some freshly squeezed lemon juice. And the first dish is done. And one of the things that I like to do when I'm cooking, when I'm planning for dinner, is like this particular meal, it's all done in the same pan. So we're just going to grab a bowl for the mushrooms. And then we're going to put the mushrooms in. You can see all the wonderful olive oil. This is going to be really good if you're serving this with bread, to dip your bread in. And the next dish is also a really good bread dipping dish. So again, when we're talking about clean eating, the most important thing is that you're just eating whole food. And there are things to learn about each type of food that will bring it to the next level of clean eating. So we are going to next make some scallops. And just like before, I'm going to add some olive oil to this pan that's already hot. I'm going to add just a little bit of butter for flavor. And then we're going to chop some more garlic. Not 8 cloves this time, but maybe 3 or 4 cloves. One of the things that is important when you're chopping garlic, and we're not doing it here just because I'm cooking live, but if I could, I would try to chop the garlic about 10 minutes before actually using it. Because if you chop the garlic 10 minutes before, the enzymes in the garlic mix together and make it so that what is good for you when it's a raw garlic will still be good for you when you cook it. So if you just chop it like this, some of the enzymes don't come through, and you end up you still end up with the good qualities for things like cholesterol, but the things that are best for your immune system, it's best if you chop it, wait 10 minutes, and then put it in. But we're going to do it like this right now. We get the garlic started, and then we're going to take, this is about 1 pound of scallops. And I'm just making up this recipe as we go, so we can put this recipe up later. I'm going to put this in. You want it to be nice and sizzling when you put the scallops in. And then you want to turn up the heat. because it's going to cook pretty fast. So let's give away the cookbook. This is a cookbook that I wrote with Koula Barydakis from Crete. It's called Foods of Crete, Traditional Recipes from the Healthiest People in the World. And we'll send it to you as long as you're in the US. And if you're outside of the US, we'll send you the ebook for free. So let's, what should we do for this? Should we pick who lives the furthest away? How about that?
Well, in the United States.
Oh, in the United States. Actually, no, anywhere in the world, we'll either, if it's somewhere else in the world, we'll send an ebook to you. Otherwise, we'll send you the actual copy in the United States. So anywhere in the world, put down where you live and we'll figure out who lives the furthest away. And then we'll either send you the ebook or send you the cookbook.
There are 2 questions, Bill.
Okay.
Is it okay to refrigerate olive oil-based dressings even if it becomes solid? From Letitia.
Yes. Thank you, Letitia. That's actually a really good question. So, yes, it's fine to refrigerate dressings, and it probably is best to refrigerate them. If you don't have any unusual, like if you just had olive oil and balsamic, for example, you could leave that out. But if you have like garlic chopped up in there and some, honey, things like that, you want to refrigerate it. And so when it solidifies, basically, olive oil also has some saturated fat in it. All fat, every type of fat has saturated fat, monounsaturated fat, and polyunsaturated fat in some ratio. And so there's a little bit of saturated fat in extra virgin olive oil. And because of that, when you refrigerate it, it solidifies. And that's fine. It just means usually what I do if I have a dressing like that is I just take it out a little bit early before I'm going to use it and stir it. And usually within 10 or 15 minutes, it becomes liquid again. So, and I do recommend that usually you would want to refrigerate your dressings, not your olive oil. Your olive oil, it's best to keep out, just don't have it in the sun, and best if it's in some kind of a dark glass container or a tin that it won't, where the sun won't get in and the light won't get in. Because when the light gets in, then it starts to have issues, and that's when you want, right? That's what you don't want. And you definitely don't want to keep it like right on your stove or in a window where the sun is going to be coming in. And was there another question too?
It was also about how long do olive oil-based dressings keep?
Okay. So I usually will keep an olive oil dressing in the refrigerator for at least 2 weeks. Honestly, usually you can do it a little bit more. If it's like a cream dressing, if it has any kind of yogurt or anything in it, it might be like 10 days would be the maximum, but most of them will at least 2 weeks is fine. Okay, so since I have a little extra parsley, I'm going to add that to this as well. And scallops cook really quickly. And when I was saying that, like every type of food, you can make something, or there's like another level to make it even more clean. With scallops, for example, or fish, you can make it even healthier by getting ocean caught instead of farm raised. And that way it has more omega-3s, and it's just generally a better product for you. Like, for example, with the herbs, if you can get organic, that's even better. Or if you grow your own and you don't spray them, that's the best. Like with meat, if you get grass-fed meat instead of grain-fed meat, that's the next level up and much better for you. And then you'll get omega-3s in your meat. With vegetables and fruit, if you can, get organic. There's ways to get organic food for less these days, although all food has definitely gone up in price recently. So, like I said, almost everything has another way or a higher level that makes it even healthier. So, I'm going to add just a little bit of white wine to the scallops. scallops cook really quickly. And one way that I always make sure that I've completely cooked, because you don't always know if you've really turned over all the scallops, especially if you have a lot of them. So one thing that I will do as soon as I put a little salt and pepper in it, is I'm going to just cover it. And this way, you know that it is cooked all the way through. I'm actually going to turn it off at this point, let it steam for maybe 30 seconds, and then you know it's cooked through. And so that's how easy it is. Like, we have a meal here. So we have the mushrooms, we have garlic scallops, and then you might have a salad with it, or you might serve some bread with it. But this is really a meal that could serve, depending on how much you make. This will definitely serve like three to four people, especially if you're serving a salad with that.
Angel has a question. Is there a substitute for scallops for vegetarians, or at least maybe a substitute for salmon?
Yes. I mean, obviously, scallops it depends if you're, what kind of vegetarian you are, because some vegetarians do eat fish, but if, and there is some like fake fish that you could get. But what I would recommend is, you could make something like this with tofu. You would want to pretty much do the same thing, except that you want to make sure you press the tofu first so that it'll cook really well. All the liquid gets out, cut it into cubes, and you would do pretty much the same process where you would saute some garlic, add the tofu, and then add all the other, like the wine and the olive oil and the butter and all of that. And you would have a really tasty meal. You may actually want to cook it a little bit ahead, like steam the tofu first and then do it. But either way, that would be a good substitute if you're going. That would actually be more on the vegan side if you took out the butter.
Karen suggested king oyster mushrooms are a similar texture.
Oh, yes. Scallops. That's brilliant. Thank you. Yes, 100% correct. And if you're doing that, if you're using the mushrooms, then, try to do them whole or cut really big so that you get the same kind of consistency that you would get from scallops. That's a really great suggestion.
All right, the book winner is Angela Dyson in Shropshire, UK.
Okay. So, Angela, you are the winner. And so because you're in the UK, we will send you the ebook. And congratulations, Angela. And should we give away the program now? Okay. So I just want to tell you a little bit about the program. It's called the Mediterranean Eating Program. It's a 30-day program. It's going to be starting pretty much monthly. The next one starts this Monday, the first one that we're actually launching. And it's basically a clean eating program. You're going to get lots of healthy recipes, about 85 recipes, plus we're going to be giving away bonus recipes. You're going to be getting 27 videos from me explaining all the different parts about the Mediterranean diet and clean eating. And you will be getting guidelines on how to eat. You'll be getting points for everything that you do that are along the way. And right now, the price for the Mediterranean 30 is $30. That's $1 a day. We figured that would be a good price. And of course, you'll also be able to email me if you have any questions along the way, if you need any guidance. And so we're really excited about this program. So we're going to give it away. And let's see, we're going to do it this way. Write down something that you learned from today's class, and then we'll do a random drawing from that. So we'll give you 1 minute to do that. Just write down, it could be something really short. Just put it in the chat, something that you learned today. And the final thing I just wanted to say about clean eating is that it is actually really, really easy to do. It's very simple and it's tasty, and it's a great thing for your health. we chose 30 days for the Mediterranean 30 program because studies have shown that like just 10 to 20 days, there can be major differences in your health from eating the Mediterranean diet, from being less depressed, having better cognition, less anxious, actually having lower cholesterol and blood pressure after 20 days. And so 30 days can make a huge difference in your life. And this is why we chose 30 days. It's also a doable thing. And we have our other 10-week programs, the Mediterranean Way and the Mediterranean Weight Loss Program, but those are 10 weeks. And for some people that, the Mediterranean 30 might be more of a place to start. Okay. Do we have a winner?
Comments still coming in.
Comments still coming in. Okay. So we'll keep going for, we'll do another minute. And any other questions as we're going?
Yes. Marcia asked, will the recipes be different from the weight loss program?
That's a good question. Yes. Some of them are similar. Some of them are the same. And some of them will be different. And like I said, we're going to be adding new recipes specifically to the Mediterranean 30 every week throughout the time that it's creating. Right now, we have 85 recipes, but we're going to have a lot of unique recipes for the Mediterranean 30. So new recipes will be coming that will be just for the Mediterranean 30. Still coming. Okay. So I just want to say again that it's really exciting to have you here, and that the Mediterranean diet and clean eating is not something like a lot of people go on diets, and I hear about, they tell me they've been on this diet and it was successful, but then they stop, and they might do it for a month or two and then they stop and then they go back to their old way of eating. What I find about the Mediterranean diet, which is so amazing, is that it's a diet that you don't stop because it's so delicious and you'll feel so much better that you continue. And it's not a diet where you're starving yourself, or a diet where you're going to have a lot of cravings because it's high fat, it takes away your cravings. There's things like dark chocolate in the Mediterranean diet. There you do use sweeteners like honey. One of my favorite desserts is honey on yogurt, which I would have a lot on the island of Crete, where the cookbook is from. And so it's a diet where it's really, what we say is like it's living or eating with abundance and really enjoying everything that you eat and eating passionately. So that's what it's all about. And Mediterranean diet is, like I said, is one of the healthiest diets in the world. It's been voted for, I think, the 5th year by U.S. News and World Report as the healthiest diet in the world, healthiest diet for diabetes, and healthiest diet for heart disease. So it's a really amazing diet. And
more questions, Bill.
Okay, a couple more questions, and then we're going to tell you who the winner is.
Jane asked, should we be concerned about lectins that are in so many of the vegetables that are used in Mediterranean cooking?
That's a really good question. I have a person that I work with a lot named Artemis Morris, who's wrote the Anti-Inflammation Book for Dummies. She's a naturopathic physician. And, according to her, lectins are actually something that you do not have to be concerned about. And it's the way that they're cooked and the way that they're used doesn't have the issues that people, a lot of people say they do, like the people that are against beans, for example. I would like to bring her on, actually. Maybe next time we do a YouTube Live, we'll have her on and she can explain it so that it makes complete sense. But from what I understand, no, it's not an issue.
Next question is, from Shell, will the clean eating version still have pasta? If so, since I'm gluten-free, can you use a chickpea pasta in place of a full gluten pasta?
Yes. So yes and yes. There is some pasta. We do have people kind of cut back on the amount of grains that they're eating, but it's not like other programs where you completely cut grains out at all. We try to really focus on whole grains. And yes, if there is a pasta recipe, you absolutely could use a chickpea pasta. There's lots of different types of gluten-free pastas that are really great. You could even use a rice pasta. I know that, I've seen black bean pasta, and yeah, any of those pastas are a fine substitute. And gluten-free, Mediterranean can absolutely be eaten gluten-free and in a really delicious way. So you don't have to worry about that either.
Another question from Tammy. She
Okay.
said, I had a heart attack recently. How can these recipes use less cheese, olives, and salt?
Okay, that's a good question. So basically, first of all, the Mediterranean diet is probably the best diet for heart disease. If you are, need to be cutting back on salt, you can just take out olives or eat less. But what I want to say about that, because it's a whole food diet, like if you were to go to a restaurant and have like a spaghetti with sauce and olives, for example, they're going to add probably salt to the spaghetti, salt to the sauce, and then they're going to add the olives that also have salt. But because you are cooking it, you don't have to add any extra salt and only use the olives or the feta or the things that have more salt to it. And as far as cheese, you don't have to worry too much about the cheeses that we have in our programs, because mostly they're lower fat cheeses, things like feta and also dairy like yogurt. But that being said, people do really well who have heart issues and still eat a high fat Mediterranean diet. And if you want, I could send you some studies about that and show you some articles about how, because it's the same for diabetes. To a lot of people, it doesn't make sense that eating a high fat diet is going to be good for your diabetes or for heart disease. But studies after study after study, just like thousands of studies at this point, show that it is actually something that is good for both. So if you want, you could email me and I can tell you more about it. And I can also send you some information and studies about that as well.
Okay, we have our winner.
Okay, we have our winner. Here we go.
Pat Harris.
Pat Harris. Congratulations. You won the Mediterranean 30, and that starts on Monday. So if you can either give us your email in the chat. Already done?
I'm going to have them email manager at mediterraneanliving.com.
Okay. Yes, email manager at mediterraneanliving.com, and we will get you set up so you can start the program on Monday. Congratulations, Pat, and congratulations, Angela, on winning the book or the ebook. And I want to thank everybody. And we're going to we're actually creating a new kitchen. And in the next couple of weeks, we're going to have many more YouTube lives once we're in the new kitchen. So I want to thank everybody. And I hope you learned something about clean eating in the Mediterranean diet. And finally, I just want to say, be well, and I'll see you next time.